Alright guys, so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a demo of how I start off my bleach paintings. So as you begin to work with your bleach and the picture that you have, you'll be able to successfully, hopefully, complete it by Friday. So the first thing I'm going to do is, obviously I have my picture ready, and again, if you don't have your picture printed, it might just be again on your phone, so just make sure that you do have that out ready so you can see it. I have a couple different brushes, and then obviously paper towel, and I have the paper that I'm working on. So this obviously is toned. It's not the same color. It's not black. And the reason is because I did not have another piece of black paper with me, so I am doing it on toned paper. So you'll be able to see a little bit of the difference, but obviously the same rules will still apply. So again, I'm going to dip my brush in bleach. I am going to just wipe off a little excess so I don't have anything really heavy on my brush. And I'm going to look for the lightest areas that I want to work with to start off with. So it does get a little tricky, obviously, because there's a whole lot that's light. So as I'm working, just like I did in my practice, I'm going to put the bleach down where I have those lightest areas first. And I'm going to bleach those. And I'm going to let as much bleach get off my brush before I re-dip. So right now I'm just trying to use up whatever I had on my brush. So I'm going to re-dip again, wipe a little bit off, and you can see how that's already starting to lift some. So I'm going along right over here. This is kind of a wet area. And I'm going to work towards the back. And as I'm working on these flower petals, I'm also trying to think how I would fill this in if I were drawing with it. So again, I'm kind of thinking about the marks that I make with my brush like I would if I was using a pencil. So I do follow the shape of the outline, but then I am going to make sure that I kind of curve my lines a little bit to make sure that I get everything in there. So that first area that I went over is probably pretty dry, so I'm going to go back over that with a fresh set of a dipped brush and bleach to really lighten that area up. There's areas in this petal that next to it that are pretty light, that I'm going to work on adding in some value to. So let's see if I can do it. My lines are super light, so it's a little tricky to see them now, as I'm finding out. So as I'm working just really slow. I'm not trying to rush through this at all. And again, I'm kind of popping back and forth between a lot of different places. So right now I'm going to kind of come to the center some and add some of those lights in there that I see. And again, on my tone paper, obviously I have more of the middle grays that are going to show up with this paper. So I would have to come in and, once I'm done, add in some black paint, basically, to begin to put those dark values in. But again, as you're working on that black paper, you will already have a lot of your darks will obviously stay because you are using black paper. Redip that brush. And if your brush gets too much bleach on it, like I just had at the beginning, it will actually probably puddle a little bit, so you definitely want to try to make sure that you do pull as much of that out as you can, so that way you don't have to worry about those values kind of like overwhelming that area. So that's kind of right now what I'm trying to focus on getting done. So as you work today, your first goal is just to really start focusing on where those brightest areas are and just putting in the values that you should have for them. So again, you can be jumping all over your picture. There's not necessarily like one spot that you need to just stay in. So I'm going to come over here and add this in right here. It's a pretty like petal wall. And again, I'm really just letting all that bleach get out of my brush before I redip it, and that's the most important part when being successful with bleach. So that way you can find those values, get all those values in. So again, my brush is kind of dry, but we'll see what happens to that spot as I have worked on it. So I'm going to redip. Find another area that's pretty light. So I'm going to come in here. Work on that. So by no means when I do this am I done with the piece. It's just giving me a good place to start with, because as I work on, again, those different values inside of here, I do need to have less bleach on my brush. So I would want to take, again, put it down first where those bright spots are at a little bit. Just keep trying to bleach that paper out, and then I would work on adding in basically like leftover bleach that's on that brush. So your focus for today as you're working is just to try to get in as much as you can, really trying to pop out first those light layers, and then as you have less bleach on your brush, working out those others. And again, you can see how it looks right now. Again, one layer of bleach does look a little bit different than like the 2 to 3 layers. And so you'll start to see how those all will work together as you do just keep adding layers every day and stuff like that. So the process is a little slow, but again, you'll hopefully find success as you do work with bleaching your picture and kind of getting to that final stage.